And next, we'll hear from a business leader on how a small business with big dreams became a national brand. SoulCycle CEO Melanie Whelan is here with us to share the lessons she's learned along the way and find out what it takes to scale a company and keep a hugely dedicated following. Melanie is here with my colleague Megan Garber. So Megan, the floor is yours, and welcome to the stage, Melanie Whelan.
Hi, come on up. I think you're closer to the podium, I believe. Hi. Hi, everyone. So I'm assuming that most of you are familiar with SoulCycle, but I will first ask you, could you just explain a little bit, A, what SoulCycle is, and then B, how it was founded, how it came about?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me
Yeah,
here. It's great to be here. Can everyone in the room who's taken a SoulCycle class raise your hand? Okay, great.
Nice.
So I've got a warm audience here. That's good. So SoulCycle, is this mic, the mic's okay? Okay.
You guys good?
SoulCycle creates a one-of-a-kind experience, we say. The company was founded 10 years ago, and we are a 45-minute indoor cycling workout that really combines the physical with the musical and the inspirational. And we say we're the best part of our riders' days. You can't understand it till you come and try it. So I'm hopeful that as many people as possible come and ride with us tomorrow morning.
Awesome. Well, so one of the things that fascinated me when I first learned about SoulCycle was just the branding, how you came up with soul. And also there's a lot of messaging about being a rock star and a warrior, and there's something tribal about it. So could you explain how that branding came about?
Yeah, of course. So the company was founded, as I said, 10 years ago by two women, Elizabeth Cutler and Julie Rice. They're our co-founders, incredible entrepreneurs. And they saw a space in the marketplace to create a workout that really doesn't feel like work. They both came from different parts of the country, one from Colorado and one from Los Angeles, where working out was social. One was a hiker, one liked to go walking on the beach with her friends, and when they came to New York, they felt like working out was a chore to be ticked off of a to-do list. So they met at a lunch, they were introduced by a mutual friend, and they decided to create SoulCycle, which again is a place that people come for a physical workout, but it's so much more than that. It's social, joyful, it gives people a way to connect with each other. They wanted to create something that really created community. When you have a great experience for 45 minutes, you come out of the room and you want to share that experience. You want to share it with the other riders that were in the room. You want to share it with your friends. And so SoulCycle was born. What we do in those rooms is we give people the opportunity to disconnect from technology. When in your week do you spend 45 minutes away from your phone, away from your computer, away from your desk, away from your friends, family, and coworkers? Probably not at all. And so we really give people a safe space. People call it their sanctuary. It's their therapy, their release, their escape to come in, disconnect, to go inside, and to be inspired. And that's why the name SoulCycle was born. But when you ride hard for 45 minutes with a group of people, you see yourself in the mirror achieving new things. You climb great hills, you run great sprints, you jump out of the saddle in a way that you didn't know possible. You're a total badass. And that is where the skull came from and the bandana is. We wanted people to walk out with a sense of pride for what they accomplished physically, but also really excited about the community of friends that they're making inside those rooms.
That's interesting. Well, so along those lines, if it is a community of friends, how do you think about scaling up? How do you think about growing the business and maintaining that sense of intimacy?
Yeah, it's a great question. I joined the company 5 years ago. I've been our chief operating officer for the 4 years, and then was promoted to CEO this past summer. And when I joined the company, we had 6 studios. And the biggest question was, is this scalable and is this national? And we spent a lot of time investing in understanding what made SoulCycle so great. And ultimately, the answer is our people. We are in the experience business. We deliver a live experience every hour, on the hour, today in 57 locations in 9 markets across the country. And the reason that we were able to do that, and will continue to be able to do that, is because we created training programs, development programs, and frameworks for our teams on how to hire soul people, how to train soul people. We really invest in people's careers with us. Because ultimately, that's how you deliver an experience with integrity. If you have people who are enrolled in your mission, who understand what it is that you're trying to create, and that's really how we've done it, is through hiring and training great people.
Okay. Have you thought about franchising?
We're asked all the time, but we're such control freaks over what we do, and we're growing, incredibly rapidly. We're opening between 10 and 15 studios a year, which for us is a lot. And it's also a very specific experience with a brand that's very special. And that's really important to us, is to maintain the integrity of the brand. And also to make sure that the sort of supply and demand equation stays intact so that it does remain a really special thing. So no plans to franchise at this time.
Okay, awesome. Could you tell us a little bit about your partnership with Target, speaking of branding?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of iconic brands,
Yep.
We are huge fans of Target and have been for years. They approached us a couple of years ago about working with them on a retail collaboration, and we decided that that didn't make sense. They have their retail brand, and we have our own retail brand. But we kept talking because, again, we're huge fans of theirs. And finally, just this past winter, we came up with an idea with their team that we thought made sense, which was Target popped up in 10 cities around the country with SoulCycle to bring the SoulCycle experience to markets that didn't yet have SoulCycles. So we hand-selected 10 cities. We went into really cool spaces in each of these cities. We went into museums, into art galleries, into restaurants that all kind of looked and felt and smelled like SoulCycles. They were white boxes that were really open and airy. But they were in spaces and in cities that we weren't yet in. And it was a great way for us to bring soul to the people before we bring the actual SoulCycle studio to the people. And I think for Target, for them, they are really making a big push into health and wellness this year. They have a lot of initiatives on their plate, both to get their population of employees healthy, and also to change their assortment in their stores. So I think they were incredibly excited with the outcomes as well.
Okay, that's awesome. And another thing I wanted to ask you about, I mean, just this sort of broader cultural push toward health and wellness, where it's becoming almost fashion to be fit, and Lululemon and Fabletics and all of this sort of cultural-wide, assumption that, fashion is fitness in its way. So how do you think, how does SoulCycle fit into that, A? And B, do you think SoulCycle could have existed before that sort of cultural moment?
I think bigger than fashion, I think there's a sort of macro movement toward healthy living, and that is a trend that I think we've been on the very front edge of for the past 10 years. People have figured out that the key to living a long and healthy life is making healthy choices in their lifestyle. So that's working out, that's making healthy food choices, that's being around people that are going to support your healthy lifestyle, and that is something, again, that is so much bigger than a trend. We know now that this is a movement. And SoulCycle is sort of born at just the right time in that we give people a place to come, and we've made a workout that doesn't feel like work. It's joyful and social, and when something is fun, you're going to go back and you're going to do it again. So, and listen, with our experience, what started out as a very small retail business, I was telling you, we put some T-shirts out as a marketing ploy when we first opened the studio on 72nd Street, thinking, wow, this would be a great way for people to share their brand experiences to wear T-shirts. They were gone in 2 days, and what is now an over $20 million retail business was born from that. So I think we've been able to capitalize on this sort of movement toward healthy living. We've given people a way to take the experience with them through our athleisure line. And I think the way people are living their lives now in just a 24/7, always on, always connected way has enabled people to, they're making different choices in what they're wearing. There isn't that I'm wearing this to work and I'm wearing this out at night. It's how can I choose one outfit that's going to work for my entire lifestyle? How can I have one closet that works for 7 days a week? And I think that's where athleisure has found itself very successful, and people are making different fashion choices in 7 days of the week. And what we try to do are create products in our retail line that you can wear under a leather jacket or with a pair of jeans, so you can continue to take a piece of SoulCycle and wear it no matter where you are at what cycle in the week.
Okay. And who do you consider to be your target demographic for those? I mostly associate the brand with young women. Is that?
Our average age is around 40, and our demographic splits sort of 70% female, 30% male. That said, we have no real target demographic. The great thing about our workout is it's incredibly democratic. Spinning it's easy on your joints. It's very customizable through the resistance knob, and so we have 14-year-old riders, and we have riders well into their 80s. We're really looking for more of a psychographic, people that want to come in, people that enjoy community, people that want to be social, and people that are looking for a good fitness experience. But there's no one sort of person that fits the SoulCycle community.
Okay. And the classes are $34?
We are $34 in New York and the surrounding areas, and $30 in all other markets.
Okay. And how did you come to that number?
The company launched at $26. We've taken a few price increases over the years. When the company started, there was no boutique fitness. There was no such thing as pay per class model. We say that we had to sort of create a marketplace to put SoulCycle into. And what's happened over the last 10 years is the boutique fitness industry has grown incredibly wild because, again, of this macro trend. People want to work out and people want different choices. We've always said that you value what you pay for. If you're going to spend $34 for a 45-minute experience, you're going to show up, you're going to bring your best self, you're going to be super committed to the workout, you're going to work harder than you would otherwise. And what that does is creates a really special energy in the room. Everybody is there, everybody is present, everyone wants value out of those 45 minutes. And again, I think that's one of the secrets of our success.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about publicity, how you think about publicity?
You know, as I was saying earlier, we don't advertise and we don't really market. What we do is we say we create evangelists. We want every rider coming in the door to have an incredible experience every time. We're a hospitality company above anything else. That's how we hire our operators. That's how we train our front desk teams and our managers, is to deliver a really unique, personalized experience to each rider. Because of that, we create evangelists. People have these authentic and meaningful relationships with our managers, with our front desk staff, with our instructors, and they go out and they tell their friends. They share it with each other over brunch tables, dinner tables. They share it on social media that they've had these great experiences. And because of that, we really haven't had to do a lot of advertising or marketing, and we get a lot of natural PR because people are so passionate about the experience.
Okay, that's awesome, thank you. And I want to transition now to just female leadership, women leadership in general. How do you think that SoulCycle has benefited from having largely female leadership?
Yeah, we have definitely benefited from it. I think a lot of our leadership team is women. Over 80% of our manager and above positions at SoulCycle are held by women, and I think that breeds a really special energy in our studios and in our HQ office. I think women come at things with a natural bias toward empathy. I think women come to things looking to solve problems and reach a collaborative solution. We are a big culture of personal development and feedback, and I think women in particular really want to invest in others and see others be successful, and I think that is part of the reason why we have been able to scale this in a way with authenticity, is because every manager that we're training, every new director that we're bringing into our office is surrounded by this culture of investment in people, feedback for people, and again, seeing people's potential. So I think it's sort of that natural bias toward empathy in addition to a real bias toward investment in people that has made us, it has certainly helped us and fueled our growth.
Okay, oh, that's great. And in terms of your own evolution as a leader, are there any tips that you could share with the audience just about things that you've learned along the way?
Yeah. So
sure, there are a couple.
The good news is I've made lots of mistakes along the way. I've told this story recently that when I first had my first manager position, I thought that I needed to sort of have all the answers and sort of say, okay, what are our goals and what are we doing and then how are we going to get there? And what I learned pretty quickly by falling on my face and having people telling me I don't want to be managed that way, or I don't really need to be told what my goals are, I just need the space to go and do it, is the best leader you can be is someone that just really listens and understands where the person wants to get to, what they need from you, how you can be helpful to them. Mm-hmm. And if you're a good listener and you're a good sounding board, then ultimately you become a good coach. Mm-hmm. And that was a big lesson for me. And I learned that, I've learned that a couple of times. And I continue to learn that.
That's great. And then on the other side of things, how do you think about hiring? What do you look for in potential new employees?
We at SoulCycle, we say we're a culture of yes. We think there is a yes in every interaction, both internally and with our ridership. So if we can't get you into class, we're going to get you top of the wait list for the next class. If you didn't get the bike that you wanted in this class, we're going to get you that bike the next time you come in a ride. The yes culture is the foundation of our hospitality program, and it's the foundation of how we operate internally with each other. Okay. We ask everyone to come to meetings on a big project, or sort of any goal that we're working toward with a benefit of the doubt kind of mentality. Mm-hmm. That's what we interview for. We look for people who are glasses half full, who are naturally optimistic, who are problem solvers, who are good thinkers, and who are incredibly adaptable. Because we're super high growth, yeah. I always look for people who have done one job, but then also done something else and sort of taken different paths, in one role. Tell me about a time where you were asked to do something outside of your job responsibility and how that worked out for you. Yeah. Because again, I always say to our teams that this business changes every 90 days. So what may look like it's one job is always sort of going to turn into something else. So it's that natural, positive, can-do outlook and the ability to be adaptable that I think will make anyone, at least with SoulCycle, really successful.
Okay, awesome. Speaking of those 90 days, how do you think about the many SoulCycle impersonators that have sprung up recently? I can think of a couple in DC.
Yeah, I mean, imitation is definitely the sincerest form of flattery, always. As I said, we really ignited this category 10 years ago, and what's happened is a lot of other people have come into the space, and the boutique fitness industry as a whole is incredibly wide and it's incredibly fragmented. The way we think about it is this is a good thing. We have a major health challenge in this country. We have an obesity problem in this country, and our goal as a company, our mission is to bring soul to the people and to get the population of the United States moving in a way that is sustainable. And if we can't get there fast enough into communities to help people find routines that work for them and other people get there first, that is actually great for us. It gets those communities moving. It gets them thinking about boutique fitness, that I can pay $25 for something or $30 for something. And ultimately, when we get to that market, we believe our experience is so different than what other people do that people will either complement with SoulCycle or they'll end up coming over to us altogether. But genuinely, we feel pretty strongly and passionately that more people in the fitness space is better.
Yeah, okay, that's great. And along those lines, could you elaborate a little bit more on Your Soul Matters and customer relationships in general?
Yeah, so the Your Soul Matters hotline was started 6 years ago. We had one of our master instructors at the time leave, and we wanted to make sure that our riders had a place to go and tell us how they were feeling about that. So we created Your Soul Matters, which is a dedicated team of people who are standing by 24 hours a day to take any incoming from our ridership. We answered over 50,000 inbound emails last year that people want to share with us, mostly not what went wrong, but a lot of times what went right. They want us to know when one of our front desk staff members in Santa Monica, California was really awesome that morning and found a yes for someone. We hear probably as often about those moments as we hear about things being wrong. But we have a policy that we respond within 24 hours. We get back to people with really deeply connected messaging so they know, they feel like they have been heard, understood, acknowledged, and appreciated. And we want to make sure that we can turn all of those negative interactions around as quickly as possible.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. This will be my final question, and then I'll turn it over to you guys. So you have an IPO coming up. Yep.
Yeah.
You probably can't talk too much about that, I assume, but is there something in particular that you're especially excited about on the horizon, either related to that or just a separate project?
Yeah, so we filed RS1 over the summer with the intention to take the company public, and I have to say that the response has been pretty overwhelming. People are really excited for the brand. I think what started out as a single studio on 72nd Street on the Upper West Side of Manhattan now has become a pretty big business and a great brand and a service that people are really passionate about. And our ability to file this S1 and sort of put our story out there from a business standpoint has really lifted the profile of the company, which has been great for us. It's been great for us as we go into new markets and we're talking to landlords, and it's been great for our potential employees who, as we're hiring, and I think there's a credibility around the company and the story we've been able to tell through that. So, we are in the quiet period. I can't talk too much about it, but I think it's all good stuff on the horizon for the company.
Awesome. Well, congratulations and thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. So we have, I think, again, microphones coming around. Do you guys have a question? Let's see. You, sir?
Hello, how you doing? I'm Arnold King, and I got a question. How did you expand your business, and also how do you keep up with the trends in your industry? Because those are keys right there.
Can you repeat the first question? How did you expand your business? If not, then how you going to expand in the future? That's number one. And number two, how do you keep up with what's going on in your industry? Yeah, I think I'm going to answer the second question first. How do we keep up with what's going on in our industry? It's a great question because there's a lot going on. And as I said, there are so many people in the boutique fitness space now. What we do is we spend a lot of time out in the market. We are trying other fitness all the time. We do it for team building with our groups internally in HQ. In our studios, our teams are always going to try new fitness. We're in rooms, we're talking to the talent that's teaching another fitness place just to understand what they're teaching and how they're teaching, understanding new modalities that are coming on. But we are research fiends, and we have people in all of our markets just continuing to understand what's coming up. And I'm sorry,
Explaining the business.
How do we explain it?
That's right.
Expanding our business.
Excuse me, I misheard. I'm sorry.
Okay, great question.
Thanks, guys.
So 2 years ago, we undertook a study. At a point in the company, we probably had less than 30 studios. And what we did is we quantified what makes each one of those 30 studios successful, both the demographics and the psychographics of the customers who are coming into those studios. We understood how dense those markets were, how frequently those riders were riding, and all the demographic information that we could. We engaged a third party and commissioned that study. We then took those factors and we overlaid them across the US population. And what that showed is we have over 250 opportunities to create a SoulCycle studio that would be nearly as successful as the ones that we had operating at the time. So we then took the 250 and we said, okay, got it, we're in 30, so net those out. And then we took the 220 and we said, okay, we want to open between 10 and 15 a year. Let's go after what I'm going to call sort of the lower hanging fruit first, and then start to layer in new markets and exist on top of existing markets over the next few years. So we have a pretty good understanding, I would say, over the next 3 to 4 years of how we're going to expand the business. And we'll continue to update that real estate study just to understand the movement of the population in the US to continue to refine that as we go. Did that answer your question? Okay, great.
Okay, over here.
Hi, my name is Nicole Eichhoff, and I'm the director of the Women's Business Center in Northern Virginia. Hi. And I have a question. I kind of heard this story or this message, quality equals evangelists, and that you kind of skipped advertising entirely. You skipped trying to promote yourself. So does that work in other industries, do you think? Do you think it is only appropriate in the boutique fitness industry, or do you think that other entrepreneurs outside of your industry can also kind of have that quality equals evangelists?
Yeah, so I would say it's more than quality for us. I think it's real passion. And I think that when people are passionate about your product, then they're going to share that with their friends. And I think that transcends any industry. I know if I have a great experience in travel, or if I have a great experience at Whole Foods, there's something new, or I have 2 young kids, if there's some experience that they have or some new product they're using, I'm gonna tell everyone, because there's so much clutter around information now. I feel like everyone is advertising to us, everyone is marketing to us. I think if we can create passion in the customers, then people are gonna wanna share that. Everyone, I think, wants to share great experiences or sort of in-the-know tips about what they're doing or seeing with their friends. And so we've always tried to focus on creating something that our riders were passionate about. And I think a lot of that comes through connection with them. We have personal relationships with those riders, so we really hear from them a lot, and they tell us a lot, and we respond to what they say. So if they think that the 9:30 class should be 9:15 instead of 9:30 because they have to make it somewhere after that class, we're probably going to change the class time for them. I can probably give you 2 or 3 other examples. They want the retail in different sizes, and we're not listening to the color schemes that they like. We're going to make those changes for them. And I think by listening to them and delivering something that is high quality, there's sort of this natural passion that's created, and then people start talking. But to answer your question directly, I don't think that is necessarily unique to SoulCycle.
Thank you. Over there.
Thank you so much. My name is Rahma Wright, and I'm an entrepreneur. I run a business that retails high-quality shea products sourced from women's cooperatives in northern Ghana. And we currently distribute our products through Whole Foods Market. And I've gone through my first round of private equity financing. And with every kind of stage of development and advancing, there are new sets of challenges. And right now, one of my biggest challenges is really figuring out how to cultivate culture within my company as it's growing. And so I'm really interested in hearing a little bit more about how SoulCycle creates culture with its team. And if I were someone to come in and start working with you, how would I be integrated into your culture? Thank you.
It's funny, culture is such a part of the dialogue right now, I feel like, with companies, which is really exciting that people have realized how important that is to success and to growth. What we did a couple of years ago, just as we were about to go on this wild growth tear, is we looked inside before we started moving outside, and we said, what is our culture? What are our core values? And we spent hours getting really clear on what it is that we stand for internally. Things like we show gratitude, things like we move fast, things like we have fun. And we made a list, and we took that list and we framed it and we put it in the back of every one of our studios, and we put it on a mouse pad at every single person's desk. And those core values, it's how we hire, it's how we onboard people, and it's how we reward them ultimately, and it's part of their year-end review process. So it's really ingrained in the culture. People understand how to live it every day. I was just showing Megan backstage, we just introduced a new program this year we're calling our core value pins. It's a really neat thing where you get the 10 core values on these pins every year, and then your job is to hand them out to people as you see them living their values and our values in their day-to-day. So I just saw someone this morning who was wearing the recharge pin, because one of our core values is we recharge, we take time off, we disconnect so that we can reconnect in a more powerful way. And it sort of has become part of our language of how we talk to each other, our core values. The way when we bring people in, we have a pretty robust onboarding process. Core value training is part of that, but we also make sure that people have a really in-depth onboarding experience with people in different departments, and we encourage them to have conversations around things like culture and how to be successful here and how do we operate with one another, so they can actually hear it from people outside of their departments and people outside of their direct reports. So I think you got to get really clear on what it is, and then find the ways that are authentic to your company of how you can live it every day and integrate it into your everyday, because unless you talk about it and continue to innovate around it, culture is just something that sits on a board somewhere and doesn't actually get brought to life.
Yeah. Well, I wish we had more time, but I think that's a great note to end on. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for your questions.